Good morning.
Morning. Morning.
Thank you so much for having me this morning. It is, let me tell you, a treat to be here with all these beautiful faces and to sit amongst the choir. I don't know how I earned such a privilege to be up there singing with them. So I'm Jestie Higgins. I'm the director of Camp Aldersgate in Newton, New Jersey, which is the county seat of Sussex. It's about an hour and 15 minutes from here, so not far. And we are your Methodist Camp of the North. The Greater New Jersey Annual Conference has 2 camps. Pineland Center is more southern, but we have some friendly faces in our congregation, some campers, young and old. And so I'm here to share with you a little bit about our ministry and how you are part of that, no matter what your age is. Let no evil talk come out of your mouths, but only what is useful for building up, as there is need, so that your words may give grace to those who hear. This summer at camp, our theme is Get Real. When I first heard that, I was like, geez, that's a little bit harsh. I'm curious what this is going to be all about. So I read the synopsis, the summary, and it talks about how so many things in our lives these days are so unreal. Think about it, all the cheese doodles and soda that we eat. All of our, profile pictures with our iPhones, with our filters on them. All of our advertising campaigns with our touched up models and our, perfectly posed situations. Those aren't real life. But it's a tale as old as time, isn't it? We look back to the 80s and we see movies like Pretty in Pink, and it's the same story, so we could tell it over and over again with every generation. But I kind of think this generation needs us to hear them and the words that they're saying to us now. Every Sunday at camp, we have a routine. Routines are good for kids. They need structure, right? So we go over the rules. And on Sunday nights, I talk about how we're in the build-em-up business, not the tear-em down. Let no evil talk come out of your mouths, but only what is useful for building up. And so we talk about the 3 categories in which we can build up. We build up our surroundings. And I ask the kids, how do we build up our surroundings? Oh, we stay on the trail. We make sure we clean up our space. We don't touch poison ivy. When we find bears in the woods, we sing very loudly so that they run away, because bears do not like human singing. We talk about how we can build up ourselves. We can shower. We can change our clothes so that our parents don't pick us up in the same outfit they dropped us off in. We can eat right. We can sleep tight. We can try new things. And we can believe in ourselves. And we talk about how we can build each other up. We can respect one another. We can cooperate. We can encourage one another. We can have fun. And we are not going to bully. I grieve when I hear these children saying these things to me. I ask them for their input. How are we going to treat each other this week? And when they say to me, we are not going to bully, we are going to encourage one another, what I hear them saying is, when I am not at camp, I experience bullying. When I am not at camp, I am not always encouraged. Hopefully they are not playing with bears. Hopefully I'm not hearing that. But I'm hearing that there are places of hurt in their lives. So how do we combat that? Well, at camp, we do a lot of team building. We do cooperative activities. We do creative things. In our daily lives, we live in community. We eat together as families. We do our chores together. We learn how to overcome our fears together. And of course, we worship together. When I was a freshman in high school, I decided I was going to be brave, and I was going to go to a camp that I didn't know anyone at, and we were going to backpack all week. Well, I didn't think about it very long, and I didn't think about all of the weird, awkward things that might happen. Like, for instance, I had to sleep in a tent with a stranger. There weren't any bathrooms, so, you can imagine the weirdness that happens with being in the woods for a week, and you're a teenager, and with strangers. But you know what? I got to that Wednesday night, and I'm laying in my tent with my tent mate, Amber Brown. We're talking about our families, our brothers, what we like to do in school, the sports we play. And it occurs to me that from Sunday to Wednesday, I could not figure out when she became my best friend and stopped being a stranger. To this day, Amber Brown and I have pretty regular phone dates. We'll be on the phone for hours supporting one another. I finished seminary, she's about to finish seminary. On our own separate parallel paths that kind of touch one another once in a while. Once upon a time, we were strangers at camp. The truth is, at camp that summer, Amber and I had finally found our true selves, reflected in our love for one another, a love that was made possible through God. We had put away our old selves and clothed ourselves with our new selves. But how, right? How did that happen? I don't think it was by anything we had done. I don't think it was by any games that anyone made us play, any jokes that we made up throughout the week, any crafts that we did. How? Here on this first Sunday of Lent, the lectionary has us turn to Matthew chapter 4. Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. He fasted 40 days and 40 nights, and afterwards he was famished. The tempter came and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become loaves of bread." But he answered, "It is written, one does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." Wilderness. We often think of wilderness as a negative thing. We think of famine and drought. We think of being lost. We think of the temptation that Jesus underwent. But what if we look at the good that came out of Jesus being in the wilderness? What if we think of wilderness as an opportunity, a space for growth? Just as we are called into this place, this space of reflection, as we enter into Lent and prepare ourselves for Easter, camp calls us into the wilderness as a safe space for growth. A space where we can clothe ourselves with our new selves. Just as Jesus says we cannot live by bread alone, we also cannot live solely on a diet of cell phone self-portraits, tweets, or ad campaigns. Not even can we live by all the super fun camp activities in the world. I was in that space in the wilderness, in true Christian community, a community focused on building each other up, where Amber and I learned to feast on something more substantial, to rely on the bread of life instead. The truth is, I could talk about camp all day long. I could talk about how wonderful it is. I could talk about everything we do. I could talk about all my favorite kids and how I love their smiling faces. We sing to the rafters and scare the birds all away. But I could never fully explain to you how lives are changed at camp. Perhaps it's because it's not up to us to do the changing, but it's up to God. Because the truth is, and always will be, that love in God and faith in Jesus are the realest things we could ever teach our children. And what better gift could we possibly give to these children of this generation in this Easter season than their very own wilderness experience? A space set apart specifically for them. A space away from all the pressures and the negativity of the world. A space to get real. What would it mean to say to our children, "This is for you. Take, eat, and find your new self"? Amen.